I found out my wife cheated with my brother, divorced her, and went no contact. Years later he came back, dumped, broke, and dragging old drama with him. Years later, life took an unexpected turn. My wife, Rachel, 32, and I have been married for 6 years. We have a very strong bond, experiencing the typical marital ups and downs, but always growing stronger. Our relationship was loving and stable until about 8 months ago. That's when my brother, Sam, 28, moved back to our hometown. He had been living in Florida since he was 18, but his long-term girlfriend ended things, leaving him stranded and without resources. The reasons behind their separation remain mostly unclear. When my brother returned, he mentioned she had been involved with other women. I didn't know her well, but it sounded far-fetched. I'd only met her 3 times. My brother only came home for Christmas, typically for a few days, and she joined him twice over their 5 years together. The other time was when Rachel and I visited them for a day during a vacation 3 years ago. She just didn't seem like someone who would lead a secret life and abandon Sam with nothing. I tried to reach out to her once but found myself blocked, so I dropped it. Sam moved back in with our parents, Greg, 55, and Jamie, 56. For the first month he struggled to find work, so I suggested Rachel might be able to assist him. As a higher-up at her company, she had some influence. She helped him secure a position in her department, a job in his field. For some context, my brother and I have never been particularly close. He's always been the favorite, especially to our dad, and our mom tends to defer to him. It's not always obvious, just a countless number of small things. For instance, we both received cars at 16. I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, while he got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. His sports practices, uniforms, and competitions cost thousands of dollars over the years. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they never hesitated. Meanwhile, if I asked for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college, they'd give it to me, but you'd think I was asking them to build me my own stadium. What truly bothered me was when, at 17, I stayed out with my girlfriend, lost track of time, and was 15 minutes past curfew. They took my car for an entire month. Then, the next year, my brother came home 2 hours late, smelling of marijuana, and only received a stern talking to. I wasn't exactly upset when he left for college and decided to stay in Florida. Despite all of this, he began spending more and more time at our house. Initially, I thought it was nice, perhaps an effort to build a closer relationship. Then I started to notice that he and Rachel were getting quite comfortable with each other. They would talk at length about seemingly anything and started having their own inside jokes. If I tried to join in, they'd simply say it was just a work thing. When I asked my wife about it, she just said they had a lot in common and were working on several projects together. The first real warning sign was about a month into this. He would be at our house when I got home from work. Rachel and I have different schedules. She works a traditional 8 to 4:30 day, while I work 10 to 7. This happened pretty often. When I inquired about it, I always got the same response. We had some work stuff to do. 2 months ago, I noticed something that made me question my own sanity. I make the bed every day before leaving for work. I always arrange it so the open side of the pillowcase faces the edge of the bed. Sam was over that day. When I came home, he ate with us, then returned to my parents' house. As we got into bed, I noticed 2 of the pillows had their cases facing the middle. I asked my wife if she had been in bed that day. She looked a little startled but said, "No, why do you ask?" I said, "The bed's not the same as I made it this morning." She told me I must have been mistaken, because no one had been in the bed. I looked through her phone and laptop without her knowing and found nothing. Then again, they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, then hung out after work. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was losing my mind. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us over for dinner. It was going fine until I saw something. Rachel was simply walking by, and Sam lightly grabbed her arm. She turned to him, he whispered something, and they touched foreheads. It was only for a second. Rachel quickly pulled back and kept walking. Sam then just looked at me, smiled, and went back to what he was doing. I'm not an idiot. I know this is a mountain of warning signs. I just don't want to believe it. I have been in love with my wife since I was 21 years old. I planned a weekend getaway to the city. I was going to ask her about things there. I really hoped it wasn't what I was thinking. Update. You were all right and my world is shattered. We went on our weekend adventure. It was a nice Friday night. We had drinks, we danced, we were intimate. The next day we had more planned, and I almost didn't say anything. I truly thought she couldn't be doing that with him and this with me. I was so wrong. We were almost ready to start our Saturday, and I point-blank asked her if she was having an affair with my brother. She teared up and said yes, she was. My heart crushed. I asked her why. She said she was sorry, that she didn't mean for this to happen. They just connected, and before she knew it they were kissing, then more. I asked if she had been sleeping with him in our bed before I got home from work. She just turned her head in shame. I left at that point. I had nothing but my purse and drove home without her. She got an Uber and arrived a few hours later with my other things. She tried to apologize, but I didn't acknowledge her through my tears. She packed a bag and left for a hotel. The next day I told my parents. They already knew. They said they were sorry about what happened and told me Sam had left last night and might not be back for a few days. I'm sure he went to stay with Rachel. That all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost final. Rachel found an apartment to rent right away, and Sam moved in with her. I am only contacting her in regard to our divorce. She initially said I could just have the house and the savings. I think this was guilt speaking. Then after a few days she said that we would have to split the house. I know this was Sam in her ear. I had already moved everything out of the savings into a new account, so there was no fight there. Just like that, 9 years of my life were gone. She has no idea what she is getting herself into. He is a narcissist and will discard her eventually. Sam has been exceptionally cruel during all of this. A few days after I found out, he tagged me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of him and her, with her kissing him on the cheek from behind. The caption read, "Feeling loved." It was disgusting. I logged out of my account and deleted the app off my phone. He texted me about an hour later saying, "Sorry bro, didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too." I blocked him. I blocked him on everything I could think of. My parents haven't been any better. They pretended to be sympathetic in the beginning. When I told them I was going no contact with Sam and Rachel, my mother looked at me and said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your brother deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone and then we can put this all behind us." I got really upset and told them what Sam had tagged me in and the text he sent me. My mother said, "Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway. My father hasn't said a thing this whole time. He just sits there." I asked him once what he thought and he just said, "I agree with your mother," then walked out of the room. I am going full no contact with them as well. The house will sell soon, and I'm moving to a different state. I am not telling any of my family where or when. I haven't told them that's my plan. I'm just done with all of them. I wish them all the worst. Update. Hi everyone, I know it's been 4 years since I last updated everyone, but we had a major situation happen. I will start by giving you an update on myself. I am recently engaged. It took a lot of therapy to get myself back out there. I tried dating right away once I got settled here in Minnesota. I went on one okay first date and then I got shown just how much of an insufferable person she was. I swore off women forever after that. That's when I went to therapy to process all the trauma from the betrayal by my wife and brother, as well as the abandonment by my parents. It was a hard year of that, but I met Emily, 37. Yes, she has the same first name as my mom, lol, but Emily is wonderful. She's a chef. She and her fraternal twin sister, Emma, own a restaurant and bar that's doing very well. I'm very excited to start a future with Emily. Enough about me. Now I would like to tell you about the audacity my family had. Roughly 9 months after I left, I had been totally no contact. I did not tell them where I moved to. I only told some friends and a couple of cousins I was close to. One day, I got home to my apartment and found a wedding invitation in the mail. It was for the wedding of Rachel and Sam. The invitation included a gross picture of them hugging in a sunflower field. There was also a letter from my parents. It basically read like this: "You need to forgive and put all this behind us. We know things didn't go the best, but we're a family and families work through problems." They also claimed Sam wanted me to be a groomsman just like he was for me. What the actual F? That letter reopened all sorts of old wounds. At the time, my therapist got a lot more business because of it. Today I find it hilarious, but then not so much. I did not respond at all. The only thing I did was figure out which part of my extended family let my ex-family know my address and cut them off as well. That brings us to the most recent drama. Last week, Rachel, of all people, showed up at my apartment. Emily and I don't live together yet, but that will be changing soon. Rachel looked good, too good, like she was trying to look her best when she showed up. I asked, "What do you want?" She said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Sam and I are divorcing. I figured out he was unfaithful our whole marriage. Surprise, surprise. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I did a double blink. She had lost her mind. I looked her right in the eye and said, "No, I give you no closure. You made your own bed. Did you really think that Golden HO, who had more visitors than the Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? You're even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go to hell." Then I turned and went back into my apartment, locking the door behind me. I immediately called my landlord, who is the sweetest old man in the world. I've gotten kind of close to him over these 4 years, and he knows about my previous marriage. Rachel was still just loitering out in the hallway. A few minutes later, his 2 nieces that helped maintain the apartment grounds were there, letting Rachel know she was not welcome here and was on a banned list. If she returned, the police would be called for trespassing. I was hoping that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. I have a fairly easy 9-to-5 work schedule now. Because of that, I go to the restaurant almost any night Emily is managing. I don't get in the way, just hang out and enjoy the few minutes here and there she can give me. I've become good friends with a lot of the staff, which include a lot of Emily and Emma's family, and it's really the family environment I always wished I had. I am there the next night when Rachel walks in and just comes and sits at my table. It was a slow Tuesday. Emily noticed and immediately came over to check on me. She recognized Rachel from photos I had shown her. Rachel stuck her hand out to Emily. Emily just looked at it, then asked me, "Want me to kick her out?" I said, "Not yet. I've got a question or two." Rachel perked up like she was winning or something. What a tool. I asked her to tell me what happened between her and Sam. I'll admit it was pure morbid curiosity. She told us he was having at least 2 affairs with married women. Old habits die hard, I guess. This was 2 years in. It was a tough time for me, she said, eyes rolling. I interrupted. You are not that dumb, though. Did you protect yourself, or did he get half of all your stuff? Rachel replied smugly. I stuck it out almost another year with him so I could start stowing away savings and sold off some assets. In the end, he got a fraction of what he would have. I asked. And what happened to him then? Rachel replied. He had to move back in with your parents again. Again, I satisfied said. Yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. You can go now. Emily. You heard him out of my restaurant. Rachel. But no, I want to. I cut her off. No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know my loser brother was back living at home. Get out. Emily stood and pointed at the door. Rachel looked around and saw she was being glared at by the bartender and 2 members of the wait staff. She stood, tucked tail, and turned toward the door. Emily started. And if you ever come back? Rachel quickly interjected. Yeah, I know, cops trespassing. After she was gone, I got checked on by almost everyone around. It was nice and embarrassing. My future in-laws, who I adore, called me. They demanded I stay with Emily the next couple of days just to be safe. It was really sweet. I have never had a family look after me like this. I didn't hear from Rachel again, and hopefully I never will. Update. Hi everybody, I didn't think it would happen, but I have another update for you all. First, about me. I am now a 41-year-old father of 2. A 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, both female. Emily and I are doing really well. I now work as a part-time office manager for the restaurants and a semi-stay-at-home dad. Emily's cousin bought into the business, and we opened a second location 3 years ago. It's been a lot more work, but with the 3 of them staying heavily involved in both locations, we are successful, and it affords each of them some level of personal time. It wasn't ideal, but I'm pretty sure I got Emily pregnant staying with her when her parents demanded I do so after my last posting. They now joke they always wanted to be grandparents, and it was all part of their plan. Now for the update. After the last time when Rachel tracked me down, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or brother showed up. Didn't happen right away. I eased up some as I felt I had a full support system and rejoined social media. I stayed no contact with much of my family, including extended, but I also didn't have any illusions that they wouldn't be able to find me if they tried. It wasn't until after our first was born that I got my first message. It was from my dad. He gave a half-hearted apology, said something about forgiveness, and inquired about his granddaughter. I was just going to block him, but the implication that my child was his grandchild I found insulting. So I replied, "You do not have any grandchildren. I am not your son, and thus my children have no relation to you. If you want grandchildren, then you should encourage Sam to get out there and do what he does best." At that point I blocked him. He made new accounts and tried contacting me for a while, but I always just declined or deleted any requests or messages. That brings me to the recent drama. I was getting bombarded with requests, messages, etc. to contact them. I read some, and it was a sob story about missing out on the grandkids' lives and wanting to make amends. I really didn't care. I had no intention of ever including them in my life again. Then the more shocking thing occurred. Sam started reaching out to me. He wasn't saying much other than he very much wanted to speak to me. After this went on for about 3 weeks, I agreed to a Zoom meeting, just me, no kids. When it started off, they kept asking to see the kids. I was steadfast it wouldn't happen. They had 3 grandparents and that was it. Emily's mom, dad, and grandma. I kinda was getting the idea that this was about something else. Sam looked kind of terrible and my parents were looking old and tired. As we started to talk, they began apologizing for everything that occurred, even Sam. He said he was wrong to do what he did, and that he wishes he could have his brother back. That was a laughable thought. Dad then took over and went into his usual garbage about being a family and looking out for each other. When he was done, I just looked at them and said, "Is that all you got? I'm going to go." Then they yelled for me to wait, and the facade dropped. The real reason was about to come out. Apparently, Sam has been having health issues for the last couple of years. For whatever reason, his kidneys are failing, and he needs a transplant. That's why they so persistently tried to get in touch with me. A family member is the most likely to be a viable match. I asked them directly, "Is this why you call me? You want me to save him after what he did? My wife wasn't enough, now he needs a body part from me too." My dad snapped, "Stop being like this. All of that was a long time ago." He began choking up and crying as he continued, "I get it, you hate us, but he is going to die if he doesn't get a transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think he wronged you in the worst way, but please, just this once, can we set that aside?" I got quiet. I wanted to see if they said more. Eventually, Mom actually started to talk. "Look, we're sorry for all that happened, but we got some pretty big problems. Between his medical bills and not being able to work, your dad and I are getting older and have our own problems. We got a lot of issues. We need you to come back to Missouri and see if you're a match, but we also could use some help or we might lose the house. So you need my kidney and my money," I said. "Don't put it like that," she replied. Sam chimed in, "Please just come home. I need my big brother. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not, we will never contact you again." I told them I needed to think about it, do some research, and tonight I would tell them tomorrow. I ended the call and went to speak to my wife. She told me she supported me 100% whichever way I went. Then asked if we should all travel as a family or if just she should come. I said no to both. I was going to go and I was going on my own. I let my former family know I would get lab results here in Minnesota, and if I was a match I'd come there and we could talk about everything else. About a week later I got results and it appeared Sam and I were a perfect match. I agreed to come back home to St. Charles. By the time I arrived, Sam had begun to have some issues and needed to be admitted to the hospital. This got everyone off my back about meeting for dinner, as I had no intention of doing anything social with these people, especially since any time they seemed to have a free minute, my parents were inquiring if I had thought about helping them get caught up on their financial struggles. They managed to stabilize Sam. I went to meet with the doctors that would do the transplant. They began going over everything with me, and I said I'd like to have this conversation with everyone. We all went to Sam's room. My parents were already there. The doctor began explaining the situation. Sam had maybe 6 months more without a transplant. They went over the process with us all and made a huge deal about how perfect of a match I was, that the likelihood of finding a more viable donor was minuscule, and that the sooner we scheduled the surgery the better. I then walked over to Sam and took his hand. I gazed into his big brown eyes and told him, "Did you hear that? I am a perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you. And I'm not going to. You are the most vile, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would know the one person who could keep you alive is the one person you have wronged the most. And now you're paying for that with your life. You're going to die. You should make peace with that." Sam burst into tears, and my parents turned to accost me. The doctor and nurse were standing there in total shock. I looked at my parents and said, "Don't even talk to me, and don't you dare ever ask me for anything ever again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral, under the stipulation that you be cremated and the ashes released to me, at which point I will promptly deposit your remains in the dirtiest toilet I can find." Finished, I walked out of the room and never looked back. I'm back home now, my real home, surrounded by my real family, and couldn't be happier.